your Son. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. My gratitude permits my love to be accepted without fear, and thus am I restored to my reality at last. All that intruded on my holy sight forgiveness takes away, and I draw near the end of senseless journeys, mad careers, and artificial values. I accept instead what God establishes as mine, sure that in that alone I will be saved, sure that I go through fear to meet my love. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. Father, I come to you. Father, I come to you today, because I would not follow any way but yours. You are beside me, certain is your way. You are beside me, certain is your way. And I am grateful for your holy gifts of certain sanctuary, and escape from everything that would obscure my love for God, my Father, and his holy Son. My love for God, my Father, and his holy Son. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today in studying A Course in Miracles. We're reading from the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles this year, here on Lesson 298, Thursday, October 24th of 2024. And I'm Miracle Willie, forgiveness teacher from the Ozarks, sitting in front of a little bamboo patch that's getting really, really dry from this drought. Here on my place, on the Spring River watershed. Okay, let's see, Lesson 298. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. My gratitude permits my love to be accepted without fear. My gratitude. And remember how we talk about every day, take a moment every hour and give God thanks? Stay in that gratitude frequency. And because look what he says, my gratitude permits my love to be accepted without fear. So we want to stay on that state of mind where we're giving thanks, so that we don't have to fall into fear thoughts. My gratitude permits my love to be accepted without fear. And like me mention right now, let me mention to you, take every hour of the day, at the top of the hour if you can, but sometime during the hour, to pause and say, I love you, Father, and I love your Son. And then look for opportunities to make that be a reality in your thoughts and in your actions and with your words. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. In those pauses every hour, ask God for some thanks, or give him thanks and then ask him for direction. That's what I meant to say. And be sure in the morning and in the evening, take a little longer time, as long as it makes you happy. And sit and hang out with that idea. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. Be still and quiet and let God teach you in the stillness. My gratitude permits my love to be accepted without fear, and thus am I restored to my reality at last. We're changing concepts, of ourselves. As we become better and better at forgiving ourselves in our brothers and sisters, we change a concept of ourselves. We become more and more like our holy self, until finally we need no concept at all. And thus am I restored to my reality at last. All that intruded on my holy sight forgiveness takes away, and I draw near the end of senseless journeys, mad careers, and artificial values. I accept instead what God establishes as mine, sure that in that alone I will be saved, sure that I go through fear to meet my love. And the prayer says, Father, I come to you today because I would not follow any way but yours. You are beside me. Certain is your way, and I am grateful for your holy gifts of certain sanctuary and escape from everything that would obscure my love for God, my Father, and His Holy Son. We use forgiveness to lead the way, to where nothing obscures our love for God the Father, or if you need to say God the Mother, but God and His holy child, son and daughter, really. But we just stick with the masculine in A Course in Miracles. But you make the necessary changes in your mind to make it applicable to your day. But keep in mind, God has only one Son, and it's everything He creates is His creation. That's His firstborn. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. Our associated reading, back a few pages, is what is the real world? The real world is a symbol like the rest of what perception offers, yet it stands for what is opposite to what you made. Your world is seen through eyes of fear and brings the witnesses of terror to your mind. The real world cannot be perceived except through eyes forgiveness blesses. So they see a world where terror is impossible and witnesses to fear cannot be found. The real world holds a counterpart for each unhappy thought reflected in your world, a sure correction for the sights of fear and sounds of battle which your world contains. The real world shows a world seen differently, through quiet eyes and with a mind at peace. Nothing but rest is there. There are no cries of pain and sorrow heard, for nothing there remains outside forgiveness. And the sights are gentle. Only happy sights and sounds can reach the mind that has forgiven itself. What need has such a mind for thoughts of death, attack, and murder? What can it perceive surrounding it but safety, love, and joy? What is there it would choose to be condemned, and what is there it would judge against? The world it sees arises from a mind at peace within itself. No danger lurks in anything it sees, for it is kind, and only kindness does it look upon. The real world is the symbol that the dream of sin and guilt is over, and God's Son no longer sleeps. His waking eyes perceive the sure reflection of His Father's love, the certain promise that He is redeemed. The real world signifies the end of time, for its perception makes time purposeless. The Holy Spirit has no need of time when it has served His purpose. Now He waits but that one instant more for God to take His final step, and time has disappeared, taking perception with it as it goes, and leaving but the truth to be itself. That instant is our goal, for it contains the memory of God. And as we look upon a world forgiven, it is He who calls to us and comes to take us home, reminding us of our identity, which our forgiveness has restored to us. Oh, the power of forgiveness. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. So let's go forward to the Manual for Teachers now. And we are ready for section 2 in Manual for Teachers. We're under what are the characteristics of God's teachers, which was number 4. And then Roman numeral 2, we read about trust and the development of trust yesterday, and he starts off again about trust under honesty. All other traits of God's teachers rest on trust. Learn to trust. This is so powerful, to trust God, develop that trust to where you reach that point of achievement, where you completely trust, knowing that everything's fine always. All other traits of God's teachers rest on trust. Once that has been achieved, the others cannot fail to follow. Only the trusting can afford honesty, for only they can see its value. Honesty does not apply only to what you say. The term actually means consistency. There is nothing you say that contradicts with what you think or do. No thought opposes any other thought. No act belies your word, and no word lacks agreement with another. Such are the truly honest. At no level are they in conflict with themselves. Therefore, it is impossible for them to be in conflict with anyone or anything. Because you are everything. You get peace with yourself and you'll be at peace with everyone. That's why we want to practice our lesson today. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. The Son that you see in everyone and in yourself, that's the oneness. The peace of mind which the advanced teachers of God experience is largely due to their perfect honesty. It is only the wish to deceive that makes for war. No one at one with himself can even conceive of conflict. Conflict is the inevitable result of self-deception, and self-deception is dishonesty. There is no challenge to a teacher of God. Challenge implies doubt, and the trust on which God's teachers rest secure makes doubt impossible. Therefore, they can only succeed. In this, as in all things, they are honest. They can only succeed because they never do their will alone. They choose for all mankind, for all the world and all things in it, for the unchanging and unchangeable beyond appearances, and for the Son of God and His Creator. How would they not succeed? They choose in perfect honesty, sure of their choice as of themselves. Okay, and there's going to be 10 of these qualities. First one was trust, second one's honesty, and yesterday I said 9, 10, or 11. I couldn't remember. I looked it up. There's 10 of them. So the next one is tolerance. So we've looked at trust and the development of it. Now we're going to look, and we looked at honesty, and it follows on the heels of trust, like all of them do. The next one is, and I might mention the last one will be open-mindedness, which he says is one of the last qualities that develop. And say tolerance. God's teachers do not judge. To judge is to be dishonest. For to judge is to assume a position you do not have. Judgment without self-deception is impossible. Judgment implies that you have been deceived in your brothers. How then could you not have been deceived in yourself? If you are your brother, well then if you're deceived in them, you are deceived in yourself. Judgment implies a lack of trust, and trust remains the bedrock of the teacher of God's whole thought system. Let this be lost, and all his learning goes. Without judgment are all things equally accessible. Oh, not accessible, acceptable. Without judgment are all things equally acceptable, for who could judge otherwise? Without judgment are all men brothers, for who is there who stands apart? Judgment destroys honesty and shatters trust. No teacher of God can judge and hope to learn. 4 is gentleness. Harm is impossible for God's teachers. Remember, these are the qualities that define an advanced teacher of God. And even just partly on the way, you'll develop these things. Gentleness. Harm is impossible for God's teachers. They can neither harm nor be harmed. Harm is the outcome of judgment. It is the dishonest act that follows a dishonest thought. It is the verdict of guilt upon a brother, and therefore on oneself. It is the end of peace and the denial of learning. It demonstrates the absence of God's curriculum and its replacement by insanity. No teacher of God but must learn, and fairly early in his training, that harmfulness completely obliterates his function from his awareness. And of the yogic yamas and niyamas, the very first one is ahimsa, which is harmlessness, which is one of the things that we have to live according to if we're going to reach the divine state of union, or yoga. The word yoga means union, which is the same thing we're learning in A Course in Miracles here. No teacher of God but must learn, and fairly early in his training, that harmfulness completely obliterates his function from his awareness. It will make him confused, fearful, angry, and suspicious. It will make the Holy Spirit's lessons impossible to learn. Nor can God's teacher be heard at all, except by those who realize that harm can actually achieve nothing. No gain can come of it. Well, we want to sure spread that word to the world, to let them know that it's in our defenselessness our safety lies, not in force and, punishment, and, we're going to defend ourselves by attacking you. It doesn't work that way. And the world's going to have to wake up to that if we want to survive as a species. Well, we'll all survive. Just question whether or not we're going to survive, the planet going to survive with us in the way it currently is, or is it going to have to be changed drastically? Anyway, we'll see, won't we? One of the things I take hope about in this is that the meek shall inherit the earth, and Jesus later clarified it in the Course in Miracles, and he said they will literally take it over because of their strength. I kind of look at that as a prophecy that we're going to take over the earth with the strength of meekness, with love. Paragraph 2 under gentleness. Therefore God's teachers are wholly gentle. They need the strength of gentleness, for it is in this that the function of salvation becomes easy. To those who would do harm, it is impossible. To those to whom harm has no meaning, it is merely natural. What choice but this has meaning to the sane? Who chooses hell when he perceives a way to heaven? And who would choose the weakness that must come from harm in place of the unfailing, all-encompassing, and limitless strength of gentleness? The might of God's teachers lies in their gentleness, for they have understood their evil thoughts came neither from God's Son nor his Creator. Thus did they join their thoughts with him who is their source, and so their will, which always was his own, is free to be itself. Number 5, joy. Joy is the inevitable result of gentleness. Gentleness means that fear is now impossible, and what could come to interfere with joy? The open hands of gentleness are always filled. The gentle have no pain. They cannot suffer. Why would they not be joyous? They are sure they are beloved and must be safe. Joy goes with gentleness as surely as grief attends attack. God's teachers trust in him, and they are sure his teacher goes before them, making sure no harm can come to them. They hold his gifts and follow in his ways, because God's voice directs them in all things. Joy is their song of thanks, and Christ looks down on them in thanks as well. His need of them is just as great as theirs of him. How joyous it is to share the purpose of salvation. And I think we'll read one more, 6, defenselessness. God's teachers have learned how to be simple. They have no dreams that need defense against the truth. They do not try to make themselves. Their joy comes from their understanding who created them. And does what God created need defense? No one can become an advanced teacher of God until he fully understands that defenses are but foolish guardians of mad illusions. Get to that again. No one can become an advanced teacher of God, and we want to all be advanced teachers of God. No one can become an advanced teacher of God until he fully understands that defenses are but foolish guardians of mad ideas. The more grotesque the dream, the fiercer and more powerful its defenses seem to be. Yet when the teacher of God finally agrees to look past them, he finds that nothing was there. Slowly at first he lets himself be undeceived, but he learns faster as his trust increases. It is not danger that comes when defenses are laid down. It is safety, it is peace, it is joy, and it is God. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. Okay, let's take a look at holidays and observances. And in Drexel University, today is, and I forgot to write it down. I said it yesterday and I didn't write it down today. But it's the holiday that follows Sukkut, and it's in the Jewish, and it's 2 words. And I don't have it with me, and I'm not going to take time to look it up right now. So anyway, happy Jewish holiday that I don't remember the name of, that follows Sukkot one day. It's to gather up all your spiritual things that you learned during your camp meeting with God. 40-hour work week day. This began back on this day in 1940. Black Thursday was the day that Wall Street crashed in 1929 on this day. Bologna Day, World Tripe Day, Food Day, Good and Plenty Day, Crazy Day, Record Store Day, Recycle Your Mercury Thermostat Day, Take Back Your Time. Basically that's, don't talk about time famine. That you can spend a lot of time doing things you can waste it, and it can be wasted, according to Jesus and A Course in Miracles. But we want to make time count. Basically, follow your passion. Do what you know in your spirit, what you want to do to be at peace and to have joy in your defenselessness. Take Back Your Time Day. United Nations Day. It was formed on this day in 1941. And World Development Information Day. And it was the day that the UN set up for Public Opinion Day, which I thought that's what the UN was for, was to put in public opinion. It ought to be every day, huh? And then out of Seed Savers Exchange, we've got the Jebusek loose leaf lettuce. It's a Lactuca sativa, and it says of the Jebusek, maybe it's Jebusek, everyone who has tried it says that it is the best, wrote Ellis Jebusek of this deer tongue lettuce in 1987, and we agree. It was a favorite in our 2015 taste test. Compact plants from rosette of dark green triangular leaves which grow 7 to 9 inches long and 4 to 5 inches wide. Ella of Brooks, Oregon, received this variety from a descendant of the family who brought it from Czechoslovakia. It's a loose leaf, 40 to 50 day variety, 31,000 seeds to the ounce. And our word is from Alsatia, the Alsatian language, Alsace-Lorraine, basically. And it's a Germanic language, and the word kind of almost sounds like, in German it's Fred. In Alsatian maybe, is which is right there between France and Germany, is Frida. So peace be with you, Frida be with you. Okay, thank you all again for joining me. Let's go forth and love our brothers and sisters today, knowing that by doing that, we're loving God. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. My gratitude permits my love to be accepted without fear. My gratitude permits my love to be accepted without fear. And thus am I restored to my reality at last. All that intruded on my holy sight, forgiveness takes away. All that intruded on my holy sight, forgiveness takes away. And I draw near the end of senseless journeys. Senseless journeys, mad careers, and artificial values. I accept instead what God establishes as mine. Sure that in that alone I will be saved. Sure that I go through fear to meet my love. Sure that I go through fear to meet my love. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. Father, I come to you. Father, I come to you today. Father, I come to you. Father, I come to you today. Because I would not follow any way but yours. You are beside me, certain is your way. And I am grateful for your holy gifts of certain sanctuary. And escape from everything that would obscure my love. My love for God, my Father, and His Holy Son. I am grateful for your holy gifts of certain sanctuary. And escape from everything that would obscure my love. Obscure my love for God, my Father, and His Holy Son. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. I love you, Father, and I love your Son. Thank you all so much for joining me. And let's let that love in our hearts well up to God and see God in all of our brothers and sisters and love them as we love ourselves, and thereby loving God. And our word for peace out of Alsatian is Frida. I love you, Father, and I love your Son.